Phil Hellmuth is known for his epic meltdowns, not his crazy bluffs.
Buddy, you're an idiot, is what you are.
That's 3 times.
This is the state of poker.
But I'm an idiot with a stack.
But don't let this fool you, because in his prime, he was an absolute beast. And when he was playing his best, nobody was safe. Not even legends like Ivey or Negreanu. From daring bluffs to crazy hero calls, in this video, you're about to see a side of Phil Hellmuth you've never seen before. Let's get right into it. We're kicking things off with Phil's legendary 1989 World Series of Poker Championship, where he squared off against the iconic Johnny Chan. This was so long ago that the tournaments didn't even have cameras on players' hole cards yet. At age 24, Phil became the youngest player ever to win the World Series of Poker main event, a record that wouldn't be broken until 2008. Johnny Chan had won the previous 2 titles, and the only thing standing between him and a historic 3rd title in a row was Phil Hellmuth. In the final moments of the heads-up match, Phil opened the action with pocket 9s, and Johnny goes for an aggressive 3-bet with ace-7. In a heads-up match, ace-high hands dramatically go up in value due to their ability to flop a top pair, which will often be the best hand post-flop. Also, ace-high will be the best hand post-flop if both players miss the flop, which happens quite often. But Phil decides to take a stand and he moves all in. Chan's deep in the tank for this one. Ace-7 is a strong hand, but is it strong enough to call? Eventually he finds the call and we go to the flop.
Let's get it on. He pushes all his chips to the center of the table. A peek at the hole cards. Chan ace-7 suited, Hellmuth a pair of 9s. Johnny has many ways to make his hand, but in heads-up situation, a pair often holds up. Now here comes Jack Binion, the tournament host and president of the Horseshoe. He's come over to supervise the final moments of this game. He says, okay, deal the cards, and here we go, the flop. King, 10, king. Hellmuth in a commanding position. Hellmuth with kings and 9s. Waiting on 4th Street. The queen of spades. And now Johnny Chan is back in it. He needs any card higher than a 10.
Right now.
Any card lower than a 10, Hellmuth will win the championship.
Johnny a winner on this hand.
5th Street coming up. The World Series of Poker Championship riding on one card. $750,000 to the winner. And there it is. Hellmuth wins the championship.
And with that fateful hand begins the Hellmuth era. This will be the first out of his incredible 17 World Series of Poker bracelets. But a lot of Phil's tournament triumphs from the following decade weren't even televised. That's why you don't see that many clips where Phil actually wins a hand. Plus, his blow-ups are arguably more amusing than his victories. But stick around, because even so, we've managed to find some of Prime Hellmuth's greatest plays that you've never seen before, and they're coming up next. Phil is a beast when it comes to poker tournaments, but in this next one, he also held his own in a cash game against a table full of poker legends. Just look at this all-star roster. Ellie Alezra, Gus Hansen, David Benjamin, Tom Dwan, Phil Ivey, Chris Ferguson, and the Poker Brat himself. We have a big multi-way pot brewing between Ellie Alezra, Phil Ivey, and Phil Hellmuth. Phil opens the action with pocket 4s in the cutoff, and Ivey makes the call on the button. Ellie is in the big blind, and he goes for a 3-bet squeeze with ace-queen offsuit. A massive pot is brewing, and we go 3 ways to the flop. Phil has the best hand on the flop, but there's no way for him to know that yet. This board heavily favors Alezra's range, and he knows it. Ellie Alezra tries to test Phil with a raise, but Phil's not giving up that easily. Ellie checks the turn, and now it's time for Phil to go on the offensive.
To fire again, isn't it?
Well, Phil looks so uncomfortable.
Betting 5,000. Fold.
Didn't actually like such a small bet from Phil. It's almost like opening up the betting for very little reward, but as it happens, it's protected his pocket fours.
That's the way to play the game.
And Phil Hellmuth reads him right.
A great read from Phil, and he proves that when he's not having a full-blown meltdown, he can make the right play at the right time. But now, we're diving into a hand where the Poker Brat goes up head-to-head with his biggest rival. We're at the 2003 World Series of Poker main event, and Phil is squaring off against none other than Sam Grizzle. These two have a lot of history together, and while most players take Hellmuth's insults in stride, Grizzle was known for firing right back at the Poker Brat. he called Phil a crybaby, and he even went so far as to discredit his poker skills, calling him a goofball that just catches cards. During one of their fights, things got so tense, Phil asked Sam if he wanted to take things outside. Grizzle, not one to back down, agreed and allegedly sucker punched Phil right in the face. With so much bad blood between these two, you just know this hand is about to get interesting. In this hand, Phil 3-bets his ace-queen and Grizzle calls. Having flopped a top pair, Sam goes for a donk bet, which is not really a standard play in these spots. Check calling or check raising is usually a better way to get value from your top pair, but Phil still makes the call with only ace-high.
Or running queens to take Sam out of this tournament.
Here comes the turn card. It's another king, and the three kings is going to sink Phil Hellmuth.
What happened? No.
3 kings for Sam Grizzle gives him the hand in round 1 against Hellmuth.
Grizzle got the upper hand this time, but Phil soon gets a chance for revenge. A few hands later, Grizzle moves all in, and sitting across the table, none other than Phil Hellmuth, who looks down at ace-10. Phil knows that Sam is short-stacked, and he's likely jamming with a relatively wide range. Assuming Sam is jamming with any Broadway, any ace, and any pocket pair, Phil has roughly 55% equity against the range. But aside from that, I think Phil just wanted to be the one to actually bust Grizzle out of the tournament, so he makes the call.
He's way behind here. They both share 10, so it's Phil's ace against Sam's queen.
Now the Queen 10 was Robert Varconi's favorite cards last year. This year it does not seem to hold the same luck. Here comes the flop, a couple of 7s and a 5.
1 nail in Sam's coffin.
10 of clubs.
He's going to need a queen to win this hand.
Queen.
If a 10 came on the river, they would actually split the pot, but he needs a queen to win.
He doesn't get it. It is a 3 of diamonds, and Phil Hellmuth has won the pot, and he's taken down his arch nemesis Sam Grizzle.
And just like that, Phil eliminates one player from his long list of enemies. In the end, Phil didn't win the main event that year, but he did win a side event for a consolation prize of $170,000. But let me tell you, Phil is capable of a lot more than beating some tourists in a tournament. In a clash between Phil Hellmuth and Tom Dwan, you'd think Phil would be on the receiving end of a sick bluff, but in this next hand, the roles are reversed. Phil goes for a big squeeze pre-flop and Dwan makes the call. You usually don't want to 3-bet junk hands like Jack 5 offsuit, but Phil knows that if you want to play against Tom Dwan, sometimes you have to mix things up a bit. Phil misses the flop, but he still goes for a standard C-bet. This queen-high board favors Phil's 3-betting range, and he can credibly represent a lot of strong hands like ace-queen, king-queen, pocket aces, pocket kings, and so on. Phil also knows Dwan should miss this board quite often, so a C-bet is all but mandatory. With no help on the turn, the poker brat knows there's only one way to win this hand.
It does give him is it gives him a straight out.
Of course, Hellmuth has the same straight draw. But for Hellmuth to win this pot, needs a jack. And is Hellmuth going to continue firing at this pot? Something we haven't seen earlier is continued aggression from Phil Hellmuth. And he bets $26,000 into a $37,000 pot. I don't see how Tom Dwan can continue.
Well, he's probably sitting there thinking he's got 9 cards. If he thinks 5s and 3s are good, he thinks his 4's probably good. He's pretty sure his 3's probably good. If he's up against aces and queens, that'd have them.
I remember Tom Dwan is down nearly $200,000 as well. Might he be reaching here? How many bullets can Phil Hellmuth fire?
Well, he needs to fire one more.
I mean, look at that flop, queen 3 deuce. Not many draws out there.
At least not many draws that didn't get hit by the ace. What hand does he think he can get Tom Dwan to lay down?
At this point, I mean, you have to put Tom on at least a queen, and you figure there's no way he's going to lay it down. The pot is nearly $90,000.
Looks like he just does not want to leave those chips behind.
Well, he's put his children in the pot and doesn't want to abandon them. And he's got about, I'm trying to work it out, it looks like he's got about 40,000 there. Is 40,000 enough?
I think he's got a bit more than that. I think he's actually got more like 60 or 70,000. There's 2 black chips.
Oh, indeed, you're right. It is 2 black chips. So it's got about 65,000. Is that enough to get it done?
Well, we know that he's up against a 3. It may well be enough to get it done.
I'm all in.
And look at this. What courage!
With his unorthodox hand selection, Phil shows that if you want to beat a maniac, sometimes you have to be a maniac yourself. But Phil is not done with Dwan just yet. A few hands later, Dwan opens the action with pocket 8s, but Phil wakes up with pocket aces. He's also playing on the button, so his 3-bet is likely to get less respect, which is great news when you have a monster hand. He goes for a raise, and Dwan decides to set mine and makes the call. Against 2 opponents on the flop, you're usually better off making a standard c-bet. With a flush draw on the board, you want to charge your opponents a premium if they have a drawing hand. You also don't want to allow other random hands to catch up for free. But Phil decides to go for a tricky line. And Dwan takes the bait, taking a stab at the pot with a huge bet. Phil decides to flat call, hoping Dwan will keep barreling with his bluffs on the river. Tom shows some restraint for once, hoping to get a cheap showdown, but Phil goes for a big 50,000 overbet. This is a polarizing bet designed to look like a bluff, and Phil's hoping Dwan will look him up with his bluff catchers. Dwan didn't pay him off this time, but the game's not over yet. Next up, Dwan makes a creative call against Phil's raise. Is it possible Phil actually got under Dwan's skin? Either way, we go to the flop, and almost everyone catches a piece of the board. Ivey and Dwan with the bottom pair, and Phil with the top pair. But then, Phil catches everyone off guard. Phil knows full well that Dwan could be betting with any 2 random cards here, and with so many potential draws on the board, he doesn't want to give his opponents a cheap turn card. His top pair is likely the best hand at the moment, but it's very vulnerable to getting outdrawn. This is why betting for protection is by far the best play, so he moves all in.
All in. We knew he wasn't going to need much to push his chips across the line. Ace with an 8 kicker, that's enough for him.
What is it?
Now the question is, gets back to Tom Dwan. Does he put him on the ace or does he put him on the flush draw? Is there any way that Tom Dwan calls this?
I very much doubt it.
Hellmuth started the hand with 57,000 chips, so he pushed in for about, I want to say about 47 more, maybe 45 more.
I'm disappointed.
We're counting it out right now.
Oh, you overraised the pot, buddy.
And another huge pot.
40.
At the $1 million cash game. $81,000 pot.
42,700.
42,700 is the raise. Slightly more than the pot was. So he's not getting 2 to 1 his money here, Tom.
He's thinking about calling me with the 7.
I don't think he's going to call this.
Probably pick a better spot. He is getting 2 to 1 on his money. If he thinks there's a chance that Hellmuth could be pushing with a heart draw. He's trying to figure this out. Tom Dwan has fought so hard to get some of his chips back after falling behind.
Your flush draw? Ace 8 I have.
He's decided to call.
Yeah, he's called this. I think he thought there was a reasonable chance that maybe Hellmuth had
6.
a heart draw, needs a queen or a 4, or Hellmuth's going to double up. It's a king on the river, and Hellmuth doubles through there.
A great play by Phil, but now let's see him take these skills to the next level against Kid Poker himself, Daniel Negreanu, and this play is even crazier. He doesn't know it yet, but Negreanu is about to find himself on the receiving end of a sick bluff. He open raises with pocket 8s, and Phil goes for a creative 3-bet with 9-8. Again, not your standard 3-betting hand, but when you're playing against the world's best, sometimes you have to go off script. Phil flops an inside straight draw and keeps barreling. Again, this board is great for his range and he can represent a lot of strong hands. But Negreanu does not shy away from tough spots. The turn's a brick, so Phil goes for a double barrel, putting maximum pressure on Daniel. A great play from Phil, but this next bluff is even crazier. Phil opens the action with pocket 6s and gets 2 callers. Friedman calls with king 10 suited, and Negreanu's getting a great price on a call, so he makes a loose call with 5-3 suited. We go 3 ways to the flop and everyone checks through. With very limited showdown value, Phil decides to go on the offensive once again.
Hellmuth is putting on a position clinic.
Can't make a bet look any weaker than this.
Pralad's only got second pair and no club.
1 down, 2 down. Take it, Phil.
Why do you think that bet looked so weak?
It just looked weak. Didn't it look weak?
Another great bluff, but this next one would make even Phil Ivey blush. Phil opens the action with ace-6, and Antonio Esfandiari flat calls with pocket jacks from the small blind. What you're about to see next is one of the sickest multi-street bluffs I've ever seen. Antonio leads out on the flop, but Phil is determined to take this one down at all costs. He raises it up, and Antonio makes a reluctant call. Another bet on the turn, and another reluctant call. Phil knows full well that Antonio has something, but it's too late to back down now.
The river, the 5 of diamonds. Antonio checks.
We've got almost $70,000 in this pot, and Antonio has stuck with Phil the whole way. If Phil wants to win this pot, he will have to fire a third barrel. Phil's trying to decide if he can make Antonio fold and just what that perfect size barrel is to get the job done. The Winchester, the 12 gauge, or the howitzer.
Wow. Sorry I'm taking so long, guys.
Tony seems cool with it.
Phil finally bets 22 grand.
Should get an Academy Award for that one.
Phil's chosen to make a fairly small bet, less than 1/3 of the pot. Antonio could interpret this as a classic Hellmuth extra value meal, and he's not loving it.
Ace-10, huh?
Nope.
Translation, OMG, please fold.
And OMG, Antonio does.
Whether it's cash games or tournaments, Phil showed he can play with the best of them. Now let's see how he performs in high-stakes heads-up duels. Our next hand comes from the 2013 NBC National Heads Up Poker Championship, where Phil squared off against Mike the Mouth Matusow. With egos clashing and tensions running high, Mike open raises with pocket eights, and Phil makes the call. Phil turns an open-ended straight draw, but Mike is not going to let him get there for free.
5 is the flop, straight draw for Phil.
This must be one of those if you can't beat him, join him type of approaches that Phil's taking here.
Matusow bets 100,000. And Phil calls.
Wow. Naked gut shot straight draw for Hellmuth. Jack or a 9 would be good as well, but of course he doesn't know that.
8 of diamonds on the turn, a set now for Mike, and a two-way straight draw for Phil.
Oh, and Mike has checked it, just hoping that Phil takes the bait. And why wouldn't he? He's turned a two-way straight draw. Mike is deferring to him, and he may try to pick up this 410,000 chip pot. Or not.
Phil bets 140,000.
Looked reluctant, but he just couldn't resist.
140,000.
He doesn't figure he's going to get check raised, and if he gets called, he could always hit a 7 or a queen, is what's going on in his mind.
Mike goes for a big check raise, and Phil makes a disciplined laydown and saves his chips for a better spot. He doesn't have to wait for long as he picks up ace-king in the very next hand. Unfortunately for him, Mike wakes up with pocket kings, and you just know we're in for a big pot.
Pretty well, Mike.
Pocket kings for Mike.
Pretty well. Where is it?
Raise 60,000.
He raises to 60,000.
And you heard Hellmuth just tell Mike you played pretty well, and the tone in his voice was almost defeated, like he's resigned to losing this match.
130.
Re-raise 130,000.
Ace king for Phil, he re-raises.
All in.
Mike puts Phil all in.
All in
And Phil calls.
Baby doll! Come on!
It's got 3 outs, baby. For the title, baby. For the title. I got ace-king, huh? Feel pretty good about my play, you know?
Phil already has the external monologue of a loser.
My time, baby. My time. It's my time. It's my time.
Here is the flop.
My time, baby. It's my time. And I know it's my time. It's my time, and I know it.
No ace for Hellmuth.
No, it's my turn.
Mike is past the tough part. 2 cards left. Ace! Bingo!
Stupid. So stupid. So sure I had it.
Well, Matusow can still shut the door with a 1-outer. Can he hit a king?
9 of clubs.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I was really rooting for an ace there. Mike Matusow really is the type of guy that would actually make you cheer for Phil Hellmuth. With his back against the wall, Matusow has to make a move, and fast. Phil flops top pair, and now it's time to spring the trap.
King deuce, 2 diamonds, a diamond draw for Mike. Top pair for Phil.
30,000.
Mike bets 30,000.
And given Hellmuth's stack size, you can certainly see some writing on the wall here.
Phil calls.
Phil calls.
Well, if they were going to get it in, the flop would have been the most likely time.
Turns a 6 of spades.
6 of spades on the turn. Phil checks.
Mike has an opportunity to take a free card, but he may want to bet and try to win the pot here.
105,000.
That's 105,000.
From the mouth.
Larger than usual. Kind of asking for a fold almost. Too much for Hellmuth to just call.
I got a bad feeling about this hand. What are you going to do, Mike? I'm thinking about making it 357. You going to fold? Or you going to call me? I'm thinking about making the worst laydown of my life here. Wow. If you don't have, if you got to go with your instincts, I guess.
Mike is begging for a laydown.
All right, I'm on 357.
Phil moves all in.
Says Phil Hellmuth.
Yeah! Yes, he didn't snap call. Yes! Ooh! No snap call. That's all I was worried about. Yes! Good job. I made a bad bet. I have 357, like a Magnum, Mike. You know what I mean? Like bang, bang, bang. The 357 Magnum, you know, boom. That's a big bullet, buddy. I got. Are we back to square if I call? I guess I can go for the win, huh? I got a flush draw. 252 and a chance to win, Mikey.
Matusow's weighing his options here.
I'm going for the win.
Wow, Mike calls him.
Go, Mikey.
Suppose no guts, no glory, but mathematically, this is a bad call.
If Mike hits one of his 9 outs, he is the 2013 National Heads Up Poker Champ.
Big favorite here. Go for the win, baby.
If not, Phil Hellmuth doubles up, and this match is just about even.
Phil doubles up.
Is it indeed Mike's time?
It's a diamond! It is his time!
Honey, that's why I'm the best. That's why I'm the best.
I told you it was my time! Yeah!
Phil took the loss gracefully this time, at least for his standards, but in this last clip, he shows that he can also be a gracious winner. We're wrapping up with another heads-up duel, this time against his old friend Tom Dwan. It's the 2009 Heads Up Poker Championship, and Phil has a chip on his shoulder. A year prior to this event, Dwan eliminated Phil in a brutal fashion, where he cracked his aces with his pocket tens. This led to a famous clash you've probably seen before.
I'm all in.
And Dwan goes all in.
I call.
Quick call by Hellmuth.
I call.
And Dwan got caught in the snare.
Tens versus aces.
I have aces.
Tens versus aces.
Well, somebody's moving on. This match is going to end in 3 hands. And right now, Phil Hellmuth is a 4-1 favorite to enter the round of 32.
Here comes the flop. No more
An
bets.
early elimination hand and the flop. Deuce, King, 7 with a couple of spades.
No help for Tom.
So far, so good for Phil Hellmuth.
Phil has the lone spade in their hand and the best hand with the aces.
And the turn.
And it's a
10! Huge suck out.
It's not over yet, Matt. Phil can still win the pot with an ace.
He has spades.
Or any spade but the king.
It's not looking good, though.
Here is the river.
3 of spades?
The river's a 9 of diamonds, and Tom Dwan has eliminated Phil Hellmuth.
When you look up bad beat in the dictionary, that's what you'll find.
Phil sits back down because they're counting the chips just to make it official.
Son, I would tell you this much, son. I would never have put more 3,000 with 2 10s.
Oh, here we go.
I was gonna say good game, sorry for the suck out, but when you phrase it that way, it makes me not wanna.
Here, take 10,000 each.
Phil, that's why you lose money online. Like,
I'm
sorry, nice hand.
That's the truth. You
Okay.
put in
Pick your stakes,
20,000 with
heads
2
up.
10s.
Pick your stakes heads up. I've said it a million times. I'm sorry,
What
I
did you
sucked
say?
out. Nice hand. Pick your stakes heads up.
I smell ego.
You can play right now if you want.
Son, you're the sucker. You just put in 20,000 with 2
Okay,
10s.
let's play heads up.
Terrible play.
Play heads up.
Is that all you want to do? Is challenge me to heads up? We're gonna play
If it's
heads up. I
terrible,
told
then
you.
let's play.
It was terrible.
I sucked out.
But
I'm
what
sorry.
if you
Nice
suck out
hand.
again?
We'll play as
You
many
admit it was
matches as you
terrible,
want.
right?
We will play as many matches as you want.
Do you
Phil.
admit it was a terrible play on your part?
No, it's standard. Learn to play heads up,
Standard
no
play
limit.
with 1 at 53 blinds, 20,000.
Learn to play heads up, no limit.
We'll see if
We'll
you're
play
even
as
around
many
in
matches
5
as you
years.
want.
We'll see if you're even around in 5 years.
Maybe I won't
That's
be.
the truth. I don't think you will be, to be honest.
The gloves have come
It's
off.
an easy laydown for you, actually.
And now Phil finally gets a chance for revenge. Phil limps in with 9-5, and Tom decides to see a free flop. It may seem weird to see Phil playing so many trashy hands, but in a heads-up match, you really don't have the luxury of waiting around for pocket aces all day. You have to drastically expand your ranges, since you're only playing against one opponent, especially when you're on the button. They both check through the flop, but things are about to get a lot more interesting on the turn.
Phil makes 2 pair.
Tom makes a pair of 9s, though, and unless he's got Phil on an ace or a jack checking in position on the flop, he's got to believe he's got the best hand.
Durr bets 4,700.
Supposed to call this. Let me just think.
Oh, look at Phil. Theatrics. Trying to sell weakness.
He calls.
That's a conservative approach with all the draws out there.
Trips for Durr, 9s full on the river for Phil.
This could be big trouble for Tom Dwan. He's got 3 9s with a king kicker. 3rd diamond on the board, however, may slow him up a touch.
Durr bets 12,800.
That's about 1/3 of his stack. Hellmuth is trying his hardest not to do a backflip in his seat right now.
Phil puts Dwan all in.
Oh, that's tough. Oh, that's tough.
This is unfamiliar territory for Tom Dwan.
I don't think I can fold. Oof.
He's getting 3-1 on a call that, if he makes, will end his tournament.
I call.
He calls. Hellmuth's celebration should tell Durr something.
Can I flip it up?
Phil can't wait to show his cards. And the match is his.
In a rare flash of class, Phil pays respect to young Dwan, who was already a beast in his own right. Phil's made some crazy plays in his career, but it's nothing compared to the absolute lunacy that is Tom Dwan. So if you want to see Dwan's most shocking, jaw-dropping $1 million bluffs, make sure to click on this video right here. We'll see you there.